places where they get seconds, and it was a $300 jacket that was $35 when I bought it.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you. Hi, this is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and Podcast #1 Internet Singles Talk Network. This is Let's Talk Dating with Barry and Christine. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine. We're back again.
I know. My favorite person to do podcasts with.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So today we get to talk about kissing. How fun is that? How important is their initial kissing ability?
Keyword initial, yes.
Yes. And one of the things certainly to talk about is, when do you have the initial one? I mean, some people have rules and boundaries about it. And so we can talk a lot about that. And then, do you think that it could be okay if they're trainable? And what if I talked to somebody the other day that they don't really like kissing, that they're happy about doing all sorts of other stuff, but kissing was just a very low priority for them. And so I thought, well, that just was good timing that this made you frown, huh? Because it was a new thing for me to meet somebody that had that conversation. I thought, well, that's a good thing to throw in, because I'm sure there's other people out there for a variety of reasons. It's either they don't like it, or they don't feel good about it, or it's just not a high priority. They'd rather do other stuff. But I think it's a handshake and a hug and then a kiss. I mean, it seems to be the order that I like going in.
Well, the thing also is we can talk about the things that lead up to that, meaning, like, first of all, what are the steps towards if you want to do that, and also what clues you can get from behavior before they get to that point as well. So we can cover a lot of stuff in this. I mean, it's funny because, like, we say that, handball is the initial kissing ability. We can be done with the show in 2 minutes. Yeah. Or we say, no, let's go into deeper conversation about what it means and how it's parts of the puzzle and how this all stuff comes together. So we should have a good, fun conversation.
And we don't know how to not go deep. That's just who we are. It's one of the reasons I think we do so well together, because we find it equally important to go deep.
Oh, yeah.
So certainly for me personally, and for the majority of women that I am friends with and coach, feeling safe,
yes,
is certainly important. So for me personally, generally, if I'm meeting somebody new for the first time, I like shaking hands with them. I can get such a beginning sense about somebody, their energy, how attentive they are. Do they look in my eyes? Do they hold my hand? It doesn't feel like a dead fish, or they don't squish my hand so it feels like they've broken a bone.
Right.
I really learn a lot. And I put my hand out because I am very much love hugging. I want to see how this feels first. I want to just have this much in the beginning. And I've even had guys, they'll hold my hand and put their other hand on top, which is kind of a lovely extra thing. So for guys out there, for me and women like me, that's a really nice thing. But certainly for me, that is an initial step that I would require to feel the first steps of getting to that initial kiss.
Yeah.
And how do you do this, Barry, from a guy's point of view?
Well, the thing is interesting because I'm a hugger too. So when I meet somebody the first time, it's almost sometimes I forget and go to hug. It's like, oh, sorry, too early. But shaking hands is something that's an interesting dance, because when I've been out courting or going on dates and such, shaking hands hasn't always been the first thing. Sometimes it's just a matter of just like, hi, come on in, and just like, just a brief like physical brush past before we sit down and do something. And the idea of having a handshake, definitely for women reach out for handshake, I'll definitely do 2-hand holding, because that feels much more respectful than just doing some limp-wristed thing. So definitely there's a connection there. And part of that also, it's funny, some of my friends who I mess around with, some of the women I mess with, is like, when they put the hand out, I actually take the hand in my hand and then I kiss the hand, just sort of thing, which is kind of fun to play with. But that's not something I do as a norm. That's a rarity, just to be clear.
But it's a very cool, classy, daring, but cool move, actually.
Right.
I've had a couple of people do that and gone, I think I kind of like that. I'm telling you from a woman's point of view.
And the key trick is, by the way, because there's 2 ways of doing it. It was 2 ways recommended doing it. One of which is basically to bend down and kiss the hand where the hand is, or to bring their hand up to your lips and kiss it that way, so you can keep an eye contact, which is really the best way of doing it.
Yeah.
So
because I know when they teach manners, they have the man put his head down. But that whole eye contact thing works for
Yeah,
me too. So then
absolutely.
after if we've had an enjoyable conversation and I feel comfortable with them, with what they've said, and my little MRI pinging that I do about how do I feel about them. This is what girls do. How do I
Yeah,
feel about them when
I know.
are they paying attention when I'm talking? And what do I feel about what they're saying back? I
Mhm.
want a hug at the end of the date.
Yes.
I want to see how that much contact feels. So it's firm, not to let me make the close decision. Don't be pulling me way in. If I move in, great. If I stay out, just it's okay. It's just the first time. But make it firm. Don't just go. It's like a
Right.
wimpy handshake. I don't want a wimpy hug either. And then I always recommend let the woman say when it's done. If I want
Yeah.
to stay there, I stay there. If I want to move, I'm going to move. And I need you. I get to be the leader in this particular part of the dance.
Well, because first of all, because that also creates safety because the woman knows she can trust the man because he respects her boundaries, which is massively important. So definitely key
Yeah.
part of it too. The thing also is this something I remember this. I mean, this one was similar. I took back in '84. God, going back in memories now. We did a thing at the end of the seminar. It was just about hugging. We did a process at the end of the seminar, which was called moving meditation. Basically, after you've done this work together, the whole group would get a chance to connect with each other. And what they do is you have you stand in two lines facing each other through the hall. And it'd be actually, I think it was done it was an S shape because the size of the room you had to get everybody in. It was like 200 people in the room. And they said this process is going to let you actually make contact with every single person in the class, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And there were 4 levels. And I'll skip the first 3 levels because I want to talk about the hugging piece because the fourth one was called a full body hug. That was the format. And said, okay, when you hug somebody, first of all, you hug somebody like, body to body. So not A-frame hugging where you're like, just the shoulders, and not like sideways hugging where you're like hugging past them sort of thing, where some people do weird hugs, sort of thing. But also they said when you do a full body hug, you don't add added pressure like to your genitals, for example. So that's why I want to speak to this piece, because some men, when they hug a woman, it's like they lead with their balls, not with their heart. And so hugging for me, because that reminder that's been in me for decades, is always hug from the heart. So basically, not to leave everything else out. So it's full connected, but the pressure is actually at the heart level. And there's been debates also about if you should hug over the left shoulder or the right shoulder because that's where the heart is, that sort of thing. That's a debate you can have for your own personal preferences, but that's the thing to be aware of too if you want to get really nuanced with this conversation. But just hugging from the heart level is recommended. And yes, as you said, for the woman to lead, because for a man, we may think what a hug's supposed to be, and sometimes it's like a bone crusher hug, which is not what we want to do either. I mean, if you've been in a long-term relationship with somebody and she loves that sort of feeling of being totally like taken in, that's one thing. But the first time you hug, be gentle, be respectful, firm, but also boundaries is important. So yes, do it with respect.
And it's interesting you talk about the heart thing because I have a couple friends that they really pay attention. I have longtime friends, adore them, happy to hug them, but it's a real big thing to them. And it also gives a little more of a comfort level. I would never have even thought to say it, but I am going to now use that term of leading with your balls because you're not pressing genitals to genitals if you're a little to the side. I mean, you and I talk about this stuff, and I think it's important to talk about it. I had somebody say the other day, you say inside stuff outside. I'm like, I do. That's exactly the right way to put it. Oh, I know her. I had someone who I was meeting for the first time. I reached out for a handshake as we approached one another like we do in this country, and he put both his hands into his front pockets of his pants. Well, that is a very interesting comment, Deborah. And
It's very
Barry,
telling.
from the guy's point of view, what would you say?
I would say he's shit scared. Okay, let me qualify. Either he basically doesn't know how to connect and communicate very effectively, or he's very self-conscious about his hands. Yeah. Maybe choose them, or maybe they're not clean, or something. I mean, it could be a simpler reason, but to do that with such overt avoidance is definitely not a good sign of anything intimate available.
No, that's such a good question, Deborah. Thank you so much for asking it, because it really does. These are the signs you watch for. Are people open? to a certain point, you know me, I got to do all my work before I trust and open up, but I'm open as much as I feel comfortable and
Yep.
available as much as I feel comfortable, but I keep showing the openness if I feel safe. And this is somebody who went, I think I have a wall up. And
Hmm.
and for whatever reason, for all the hand reasons, and gosh, maybe he's been yelled at if he even shook someone's hand, because sometimes there are women that have big trust issues because of things that have happened. But I would just say, I'd have a conversation, just let's meet, let's have coffee. And I would still have talked to him. And maybe even, if you felt comfortable after a half an hour or so to go, gosh, I noticed that you did that. I'm so curious. Is it
Right.
something I did? What was going on for you? With no judgment, because you're
Hmm.
listening to learn.
Yeah.
Is their answer something that you go, even if it's an honest answer, you're like, oh, even that honest answer doesn't draw me in. I
Hmm.
respect that he gave me an honest answer. Or does he beat around the bush? Or do you not, you get an answer that you're like, wow, that totally explains it. And I'm
Hmm.
okay with it. So we want people to practice saying their truth in the kindest, most open way so that we don't misjudge and misunderstand and miscommunicate, which we do so often when we try guessing.
Hmm.
Give them a chance to tell you their truth and see if they do or not. Because boy, they have to tell me their truth or I'm not hanging around.
Right. Well, the thing is, it's almost like you don't want to paint them with your brush.
Yes.
You want to let them express and explain who they are. One of the other ones I just thought about as well, what may be happening is maybe the guy's some sort of germaphobe too. Could be any one number of reasons. So there are more than one reasons. And yes, I think so. The perfect idea is that if you are sitting down to have a conversation, as you got to know each other over 10, 15 minutes, and there's a certain level of openness at that point, just saying, notice when I reached out to shake your hand, you pulled back. There was something going on. You let me know, if something I need to do differently or something you would do differently, just so I know. Because you could make, as I said, there's 3 or 4 things I think at the top of my head that could be the reasons why. Those are all assumptions because I've got no verification. So to find out is, especially if you plan to see the person again, let's be clear about that, because if it's just the one time, you can go, forget it, don't worry about it. But if you do have an interest, it's good to find out what's going on, because it might be something so innocent or innocuous that you can go, oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
But you won't know until you ask.
Maybe he just cleaned his windshield, or maybe it was in the beginning, it was very odd first and last meeting. There were other oddities. Oh.
Okay.
And then he
Yeah.
followed me up a few days later and asked to see me again. I respectfully declined. So
Okay.
that's really good, Deborah. You went on your instincts. You went
Yeah.
on as accurate as you could find out information. And so that's what is so important is when you have a question or a concern that's not scary. We're not talking to anybody about something scary.
Right.
Just, wow, why did that happen? Ask
Yep.
after a little bit in a very, I'm just so curious. So there's no judgment, no painting them with
Assumption.
your own brush energy behind it. Just, well, that was really interesting. Not
Hmm.
happened to me before. I'm curious because there could be such an interesting reason. I was thinking that maybe he had something with his tire or something happened with his car and he didn't want to be late, but he's like, I need to go wash my hands. I was thinking that could have been, a pretty I would accept that. I'm like, good. I want you to make sure you have clean hands when you're going to eat
Yeah.
dinner with me.
But the thing is, if that was the situation, I'd just come in after fixing a tire. I would say, let's shake your hand. But excuse me, let me go wash. Let's see, my hands are dirty. Let me go wash them first. Then I can shake your hand. That would be logical to me as a man.
Yeah.
Unless I'm so embarrassed that I had a flat tire, I wouldn't want to tell you. That'd be like, what?
Yeah. And so you're a very secure man and I'm a secure woman, and both of us would be comfortable addressing it. So
Right.
what we do in our podcast is encourage people that maybe haven't been encouraged to have this much courage. There's nothing lost and everything to gain, because the first thing you gain is practicing saying your truth.
Yeah.
And giving the other person a chance to say their truth. Because if, let's pretend that this would turn into something lovely, this is the foundation you need to keep your relationship on an even keel, is that you continue to say your truth. And this is a pretty benign thing to talk about. You're going to be talking about some pretty heavy things if you are in a long-term relationship. So if you're already uncomfortable speaking your truth, practicing when it's easier can be helpful. Take little
Absolutely.
baby steps.
Well, that's the thing that again, back to the beginning, is the key to any relationship is really how do you communicate and how you connect, and to have instant miscommunication or misunderstanding or assumptions show up right at the beginning gets in the way of that possibility. So,
Yeah.
and frankly, if you're going to go on dates sequentially, as in multiple dates, different people, you've nothing to lose by being honest up front and being totally transparent in the sense that you can just be where you are and tell the truth, because if it doesn't work out, nothing lost. Go to the next person, connect there. And if you connect better, great.
And only gained for you, only a benefit for you.
Practice, yeah.
So then in my personal life, so the next time, if I've hugged them goodbye, then the next time if we see each other, I will hug them hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've already crossed that bridge. And then I'm thinking, while I'm talking and learning all sorts of it, am I going to want to kiss them at the end of the day? Because for me, I'm fine the next time, typically, if I like them and I'm going to want to see them again. So then there was this whole very fun subject on Facebook in one of my widow groups about, do you as a lady want to be asked? And I said, I like being asked. Who I am personally, and my late husband asked me the first time, I'd really like to kiss you. Would that be okay? And I think it's charming. And because there was a couple hundred responses, and these are the kind of things I love reading because then I can bring it here.
Right.
Because mostly it was women responding, and the guys were obviously watching what they were saying. It was fascinating because I was in the minority. I would say I was very surprised. I was very surprised. 35%, 30, not quite 40, said they like it. The rest of them were like, nope, I think it's not as masculine. I prefer them just come in. I can back up. I'm like, wow, that was so surprising. I thought it would be more even when I had my little imagination thing. Most of the, so here, guys, this is when you go, oh my God, women are so confusing. Because how do you know? I mean, if somebody came in for a kiss and didn't ask, and I was okay with it, I wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't get upset that they didn't ask. I want to say that out loud. But I just thought it was like, because I like being cared about my feelings. This is a huge thing to me. I say this so often that you're like, this is my manual about Christine. Make me feel safe. Make me feel that you're caring about my feelings. And it's not as consciously, I think, high a priority for other women. And they like the masculine feeling of the, so now you're hugging goodbye. And so I was asking questions. So do you just stay in the hug, or do you like lean in, or do you like, how do you do it? So there was lots of that discussion. So they'll lean back, but stay put and smile. And I go, well, I'm liking all the flirty stuff. That's kind of cool. I said, well, what if he doesn't kiss you? Are you going to be upset? Because I got to ask those questions too. And there were some that were, he didn't get the hint. He didn't hear the message. And I'm like, well, that's kind of sad. Because if I was in that camp, you all know me, I'd say, I'd really like it if you kiss me. I'd say it out loud. If you're not kissing me and I want it, I'm like, I'm all hot for your mouth and I want to see what it feels like to kiss you. Then I would say it, and I have, because they were being a little cautious, and we talked about it later, and they were just being cautious. And I'm like, I really like being asked. Later, I tell them, but they didn't know that. I can't get mad at them for not knowing. So I just put it out there, and they were like, okay. I mean, I've never been turned down.
So I love what you said.
Women are very safe. It's not like the guy walking across the dance floor and you have 50-50 chance she's going to say yes, and you have to do that walk of shame back. I mean, really, ladies, if you tell a guy you want him to kiss you, you're probably not going to get turned down.
Pretty much, yeah. The thing is, and I love what you said, there's so much rich content in there, but I want to add one couple of things. One is that for me as a man, and again, I can't speak for all men, just speak for myself, is if a woman, I would feel more honorable as a man to lean in and say, I'd love to kiss you. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Or even saying, if I'm bold enough, saying, I'm going to kiss you. Is that okay? You know, rather than just going in for the kiss, because I've had the experience more than once as a man over my lifetime where I leaned in and she leaned out.
Yep.
And that was pretty awkward. So energetically for us, for me as a man, I think for most men, our ego is more intact if we ask and we get refused than if we lean in and get backed away from, just to be clear.
Say that again. That is such an important point for women to hear and men to hear too. That is such, because we don't do this the same. So please say that again.
And to be also transparent, for most men, our egos are more fragile than most women, from what from the research I've done, at least. So when we are in that place or that possibility of a kiss, for us men, it's safer for our egos, especially, to actually lean in and say or ask if it's okay to kiss, than to go for the kiss and be refused. Then by saying she says no, thank you, or not at the moment, or not now, which is fine.
Yeah.
Rather than we lean in and she backs away, and we feel like we've just like leaned into a chasm we can't climb out of again. You know, that's what it feels like. So for the ladies out there who feel like just the guy should just go for it, we've got some war injuries, so to speak. You know, just to be transparent. So we carry that burden of sense, because the other part also, just to put a piece on the table, is that, you know, we are the stronger gender, so to speak. We are the ones that can injure as well as make safe. We are the ones that can be protective or invasive. So most men who know this and are aware enough, because not all men are, to be transparent, but most men who are aware of this will want to take steps that are sure-footed and respectful of the woman.
Yes.
So that kissing point, and this is interesting because some people look at kissing as such a non-issue. It's like, I don't think you understand. You know, swapping spit is a much more intimate experience than just a kiss on the cheek or a hug or shaking hands. Let's be clear about that. It's one of the steps towards physical intimacy, or actually one of the of physical intimacy, way before sex. Because I know that for men, intimacy is sex, but kissing is a massive component, and this is when we talk about kissing ability, is a massive component of creating more intimacy. So to get to that bridge, to cross that bridge, or get to that place between the two people, is such in some ways a vital part of the process. So to do it with respect, with lightheartedness and playfulness too, of course, but to do it with the level of respect it deserves, rather than just going, oh, she's going to kiss her and hopefully she's okay with it. And if not, then not. Yes, once you're in the kiss, that's one thing. Once we're getting to that point. So how we get there has some importance as well as when you are there, so to speak.
Oh, yes, 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 and yes, and yes. The people who were more effusive about why they didn't, often it was because it had been bad for a whole bunch of reasons. It was too early, they didn't ask. And I'm going to say out loud, please do not stick your tongue in my mouth. First thing, please, please. I mean, solid, sure. Tentative is not, if I've leaned in or you've asked or whatever, we've decided, we've agreed in this brief moment that we're going to kiss, something connected, solid, lasts a little bit while you're doing your really nice solid hug, but still not leading with your balls. I'm going to keep saying that because I love that.
It's the thing, you know.
Do not shove your tongue in my mouth. Please. No. It's too much, too soon. We're like crock pots. We need you to warm us up. That's right. Microwave. That's like too much.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Men are microwaves and women are crock pots. That's one of the problems.
I don't know this. So you need to turn on our crock pot. I mean, a little licking or nibbling. If she returns it, how nice. And it's like when I talk about if you're sitting with somebody the first time and we touch your arm or your shoulder, you're now free to touch our arm or our shoulder. We've broken the fourth wall, as they say in the play. So let us put our tongue out first. Please. This is just the beginning. We're not talking, hello, Gigi.
It's welcome by.
She's doing her drive-by. I like initiation later and I like strong late. This first moment, this is where we're talking about who the woman gets to set the pace when you first meet, when you've met
Yes,
the second time.
exactly.
What is she comfortable with? Let's say this with kissing too. If I give you my tongue, which could be a little bit, maybe the first time, then do that back.
Right. Match levels initially.
Oh, I mean, I last year I went out with this guy and I thought we were all 14 again, because that's what you do when you're 14. You have no finesse, you have no
Mm-hmm.
moderation, you have no taking your time. And I was like, this is just too much too soon for me. And it
Right.
was sad because it put me off. So a little bit is enticing, is seductive, is exciting. And then stop for a moment and look and see what's the reaction. Are we enjoying it? Would we like more?
Is that
And
that right? Such a key is like to actually stop and look and actually verify rather than when you start, it's like, okay, I'm on this path for the next 6 minutes. Go.
yes, yes.
Go.
You are single focused, charming people like that. And we like it when you're single focused enough, but every once in a while we need you to go,
Let me
okay,
stop.
how's she doing?
Take a breath.
And I want you to do this for all physical activity, but right now we're just talking about checking in, guys. This is such a good thing to learn because
Absolutely.
we're going to show you, you're going to have so many, even the least expressive woman, because I coach women that they're quiet, they're kind of reserved, even though they're feeling really great, will get flushed, will relax more, will be more receptive, even if we're not, equally aggressive or assertive.
Right.
You can tell if you're getting too carried away, this is never the time to get carried away the first time.
No.
You will notice they might be subtle, but we're going to give you subtle hints about, oh, I'm backing up just a little. Okay, relax a little. What you're doing as the guy. Then we're going to be fine and we might come back in, or this is where we need to stay. It's like doing this wonderful dance. And if you treat it like that, you might get to the fun part of the dance. This is really important to go let her set the pace. I mean, I know women that are just full on and they have sex on the first date. She set the pace. Be available, be open to whatever, but let her, and the other thing is you could try a little more. Like if she's put her tongue in a little bit, then you could and then she might go, oh no, thank you. But she's not going to leave, especially if you stop, whatever it is you're doing.
And one piece on top of that is that once you have had that initial, like the entry point, you've had the kiss to start things off.
Yeah.
You can kiss other parts of her neck, her face, her cheek, her ear, all over. Basically, you have front room to explore with, again, but you also check and verify. Check in. Is that cool? Is that okay? You're not saying you ask her, but you look in and go, okay, she's enjoying herself. Keep going.
Yeah. She's still got her eyes closed. She's smiling. She's breathing a little harder.
Yeah.
Such a good point that you don't have to just stay on their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And light touch, light nibbly, light licking, light.
You're not a vampire.
Yes. Yes. It's all finesse. So let's talk about the people that you kiss the first time and you go, really? So do you think it's just that this is your first time and both of you might be feeling a little awkward? Or oh, yes. I mean, the people I coach that were married for 30, 40, 50 years and have only kissed one person and maybe not even anybody for a while because their spouse was sick for a long time or have been gone for a long time. It's first, it takes practice, like everything. Nobody just knows how. And you're probably not familiar with kissing somebody new. You had your technique down with whoever if you had a long-term relationship. You knew each other's moves. You knew what they liked. Now you have a whole new person to learn and they have you to learn.
And you can't presume that like your previous one either.
No. So if the big thing I'm going to keep saying is, if they listen to my lead, this is how much I'm fine doing right now. I'm going to maybe do more later. That is the first step for me going, I think they'll listen. Even if they're not great right now, I think they could be better. I don't know for sure, but I don't just write them off if they're not good kissers in the beginning, as long as they don't force themselves up. That you're done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's such an interesting position. And it's, it's interesting. I mean, I can say this. We talk about oftentimes, especially in romance and a relationship, about getting out of your head. But in this sort of conversation about the ramping up and the building connection and having intimacy and being respectful and all those other things checking in, you've got to keep your wits about you. This is not just blindly jumping in. And back to the piece about that, if the kissing doesn't work, part of it is, yes, there is the possibility they're out of practice or they've got a routine that doesn't match where you are now and they've got to reset. It's okay to communicate. Same as with sex. It's okay to communicate. And we're not going to talk about that now, but the same thing applies there as it does here, which is it's good to communicate anyway. And if things aren't working, it's important to communicate.
Yeah.
Because the other part is if their kissing is a bit wonky, so to speak, but the thing is everything else is feeling like the connection's there. There's a sense of intimacy. You're feeling warm. The touch is great. There's other things too. It might just be a simple, I don't know, first date nerves or something like that even. But if there's nothing else going on besides that, like nothing else is working, then yeah, you may get some clear signal. There's no connection, no passion, no joy there. But the thing with the kissing ability, the initial kiss is so crucial in so many ways because it does set that bar. It sets the standard, it sets the precedent of what it means, what's possible, what's connected. So to understand that. That's not the reason we don't rush in with kissing. In a way, you want to savor it and make it special because it has a lot of weight to it in terms of the connection and what could be laying ahead for you.
So much.
Yeah.
So this is the advice. Men, please, for this time, think with your big head. Please.
Yes.
Keep the blood flowing as much as you can, as exciting and sexy, and you're thinking about all the fabulous stuff you could do naked later.
Mm-hmm.
Bring your single focus back to thinking in your big head up here, because you are so smart, and we're going to just give you all the benefit of the doubt, because we're only talking to good guys here. No yucky guys are going to listen to this.
Right.
You want to make us trust you. You want to make us feel comfortable. You want us to feel that you care about us. This is how you do it, when you stay up here, so that you're conscious of what she's doing now, how's she feeling now. Because I know your body's getting real excited and your blood's trying to go other places. This is when you really, and sex too often, I mean, really, we talked about that it's really important to stay in tune with what's their reactions. I mean, you might hear sounds or they might actually say something, but how's their body reacting to you? Is it relaxing or getting tense? Those are so good indicators, us women.
Yeah.
We don't even think to make our bodies do that. We either go, oh, comfortable, relaxed, happy, or oh, there's something I'm concerned, or I'm not sure, or wow.
Mm-hmm.
So pay attention, because you will feel, if you holding us in a really nice, solid, not too smushy hug, you're going to feel our body responding, period, and watch which direction we're going. Do more if it's relaxing, do less if we're getting tense. Because if anything, I think it goes a long ways to enhance the ability. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not a really good kisser, if you're paying attention to how we're reacting. And, I would say the men that I have been kissed by, if they aren't great kissers, mouth kissers, right away, it's hard to be bad kissing a neck. It's hard to be bad behind the ear.
Right.
Because there's not as much two lips trying to figure it out.
Yeah, trying to match each other.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of meshing and bumping, and there's teeth, and I mean it's a lot to think about. It's like a really fancy dance.
Yes.
But I'm just sitting there I don't have to do one thing. I don't have to think about what my mouth is doing. I'm just thinking, wow, that feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go, oh, she likes that. Oh, she likes this better. I mean, if you think you're going to get naked later, this is really good information, guys.
This is all
So
practice.
this
Yeah.
is my bribe to men. I go, do this, because if you want to get naked later, won't this be fun to know that
Well,
she's an ear person. Oh, she's a throat person. Oh, she's a behind the ear back here, the back of her neck. I mean, really, we have so many erogenous zones available that with total clothes on, that how go exploring.
well, the thing I was going to say, this is all foreplay. Really.
So is.
So of course it comes in. So a couple of things you said, and I want to tune in back to these things too. That yes, such a simple thing about, if the lip to lip kissing is not so easily working out, they definitely go to the neck and other things, because there's awakenings and stirrings that can happen without you having to be the perfect kiss at the perfect time, because we make mistakes too. We're not perfect at everything else. And that's the other part you said about women feeling into that place and intuitively. Ladies, remember, we don't resonate as tuned in as you are. So when you feel something, we may not be aware that you're feeling it. So sometimes we need a little nudge, course-corrected feedback, some gentle words saying that isn't going to work or this does work, just because we may not be aware of it. So it's one thing for us to have to be given that feedback. The other part too, and this is back to the thing about the balls again, is that when you're kissing a woman, especially in that first initial kiss and they're having the kissing ability, I say it this way and then explain, it's kiss from the heart, not from the balls. Because the thing is, when we kiss from the heart, there's safety, there's envelopment, there's a joy, and there's also an intimacy that's there. If we're kissing from our balls, it's connected straight to sex, which gets in the way of having any exploration and intimacy that we want to build first. We bypass all that. So for us men, same as for the hug, if we kiss from that place that is more of heart-centered and really embracing her without wanting sex with her, the kissing initially, I'm talking about down the road is a different story, but I'm talking about initial kiss, the first kiss in that building relationship. To kiss from that level is a much more wholesome in a way, but also much healthier way of connecting, because again, we said back at the beginning about being safe, having the safety level. For a lot of women, yes, some women want straight sex on the first date, but most women want safety first, to be able to trust the man first. So the more we build that in our intimacy and kissing especially, then the more that she will trust us, the man, and there's more room to grow and go beyond that point. So it's important to understand those pieces too. It's funny. Let's talk about my first kiss. We're talking a lot about this. There's a lot about this we're talking about here. So it's important.
Yes, because it is a key element. It sets the stage. It has so much, can potentially have so much emotion attached.
Yes.
Of how I want to be treated a certain way. I'm seeing that he's treating me this way, or he's not.
Right.
I have very specific ways I need to be treated. And that piece can certainly indicate to me, I like knowing that he's into me. I like knowing that he wants to kiss me. I certainly probably want to kiss him back. And then I want to see, how does he encapsulate the treatment of me this first time? How respectful is he? How connected? And I know this sounds so complicated, but I really believe, and you have said, men are very capable if they stay up here.
Yeah.
If they think with their other head, all bets are off. You really can't think the other way at the same time. You just can't. And that's perfectly fine. That's how God made you. So if you want to please us, have us care about you, have us trust you, have another time with us, then just keep the blood up here. So because your brains are so smart, and you have good intentions and good instincts, and it will lead you most often very accurately, as long as you're staying in your thoughts,
right,
and not in your feelings. Because I want you to have lots of feelings later, but right now, because men, as you said, you're so concerned about upsetting us or putting us off or having us think ill of you for reasons that maybe you don't even understand why we act this way. But if you lay this groundwork, you'll have the best chance to have success. And
that's the
Stevie
key.
says we need to stop at this hot moment and have a break.
We'll have a quick
We'll be
break.
right back.
Okay.
Hi, I'm John Thomas. I want to share with you a professional products and services directory we call Going Solo Directory. And you need to check this out. If you want exposure to your business or are seeking professional product or services, this directory has it all. And that membership, for the many special features, you get the benefit of a worldwide exposure with a 40-minute video interview on an international business show showcase. All this for just one low annual fee. For more information, contact GoingSoloDirectory.com.
It's funny.
And
I think
we're back.
Yeah, I was saying it's funny. I think Cece was so invested in the conversation she forgot to do the break earlier.
I was.
Yeah.
Such a fun conversation to talk about how important initial kisses are into continuing a relationship with someone. And
Absolutely.
really hope that you've listened and gotten some help from this, both men and women. I mean, this was so helpful equally, I think, for men and women in this potentially challenging, so potentially rewarding subject.
Well, this is the key. I want to add that, emphasize that point, is that as much as we laid out groundwork and steps and perceptions and creating those different energies, the ultimate piece is that this can be so exciting and so fulfilling and such a wonderful opportunity that it's worth just taking what we said. And if you apply half of it, it's a good start. But if you use what we said as guidance in your adventures in dating, you might discover you have a lot more fulfillment. And I don't use the word success necessarily, it's not the right word, but certainly more fulfillment, more enjoyment, more passion, and just feeling loved. And to do this with heart, with care, with compassion, with joy, and have fun with it. Absolutely, have fun. Enjoy yourselves.
Please. That's what this program is all about, is how to help people have more enjoyment in their life, in their love life, in their intimate friends, their lovers, their people that are in relationship with, and how to get there. And here's one of the first steps. Why, you're out there dating, and how do you get to the first kiss and make it feel positive? How is it positive for both people? I think
so leave a good impression. Yes. Leave
a good impression. You know what I will say, they'll give you a good review on Yelp, right? If there was such a place on Yelp to do that.
I don't think there's a way of doing it that way, but no. But obviously there's a double entendre with the leave a good impression on the lips, leave a good impression with an experience. But the recognition is that first kiss is a doorway to a much greater level of intimacy and connection. So not to put weight on it and pressure on it, but to make it important enough to realize that it's important to put effort into it. Don't make it casual and flippant, but to put your heart into what you're doing. Because that, for me, is what relationships all about, is the heart-led, intimate, loving, vulnerable, and safe connection we have with each other. So this is good for both men and women, I think.
Effort and thought, which you and I say is the foundation for a really healthy relationship, effort and thought.
Yeah.
Because then you stay connected when you're both offering effort and thought. So you get to practice this with the first time you kiss somebody new. Effort and thought.
There's your homework.
That is good homework. I'm thinking that's kind of a fun homework to have, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if you have questions about kissing or first dates, or you haven't had very good success, Barry and I obviously can help you. We've had a ton of personal experience ourselves and helping our clients. So if you'd like to speak with me, go to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com, and click on what's holding you back from love so you can have a personal conversation with me where we can talk about some of the challenges you've had. You can also sign up for my newsletter, which you'll get a repeat of this wonderful podcast every week. You can also send me a personal email at christine@theperfectcatch.com. You can reach me on my social media and see my personal email or podcast as well as these on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube. And did I forget Facebook? That's usually my first one.
Oh, you're on Facebook. You forgot Twitter.
Twitter. See?
Yes.
I so need you, Barry.
Thank you.
Tell them how they can reach you.
It can be helpful for a few things at least. But like as Christine said, I can definitely help you with navigating the whole process of journeying into a relationship and helping heal past ones as well. So my website is my name, which is barryselby.com. Easy to find me. And on my website, on the homepage, you can click on the top where you can sign up for a mini session with me if you want to, which is right then. That's the first button you see. If you scroll down the front page, there's an entry point to put your email address in to join my email list, where again, you'll also get replays of our lovely show every week. That if you miss out on watching us live, you can definitely get the notifications each week of the replays. Definitely recommend doing that. On my website is also my book. My coaching and other programs are available on there as well. There's new things coming, so definitely join my email list and stay tuned because I'm launching something new this month. The plan is actually 2 things this month. Busy month coming up. Lots of things happening. Also, if you want to find me on social media, all of my videos, both the ones with Christine and the ones I've done myself, and lots of interviews I've done recently, I have a YouTube channel which is filled with lots of videos you can definitely watch. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Barry Selby. So youtube.com/Barry Selby. And on my social media is my name, except for Instagram. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Clubhouse, as I said, YouTube, Pinterest are all Barry Selby. And then on Instagram, it's the real Barry Selby because my original account got hacked. But definitely check us out. Follow us. Both of us, we have lots of skills and help. And frankly, we love doing it.
Very much. Very much. We're so lucky. We don't feel like we're working at all. It just is such a joy. So we're here every week chatting with each other about dating and relationship challenges and solutions on Thursdays, 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern, and all the times in between. So we hope that you will join us. And also, if you are signed up to receive our replays, share them with your friends that are having challenges in their dating and relationships. We'd love to help them too.
Yeah, and if you've got relationship questions or thoughts about topics you love covered, definitely reach out to us. Let us know, and we see we can incorporate them into our schedule because we love to talk about things that help you have better relationships.
Whatever's hot on your mind and challenging in your dating life, right?
Indeed. So thanks for
we'll
joining us.
See you again next week.
See you next week. Bye.